Welcome to the Confessions of a GroupX Instructor podcast. For group exercise junkies and enthusiastic classgoers, we'll explore and uncover authentic, thought-provoking, and heartwarming industry education and inspiration from entertaining, badass fitness pros. And now your host, creator of Warrior Rhythm, Warrior Strength, Warrior Combat, Warrior Revolution, and Warrior Kids Group fitness brands, Ellen DeWord. Here we grow.
Hi, welcome to the show. It's been a second. It's been since my I've been hacked episode, and I'm just trying to get my feet up underneath me again. And actually, I've been the ha devastation of the hacking aside, and by the way, I still hope to deliver a part two of that saga with some better news. But in the meantime, here we are again. I have been busy doing other epic things, which I'm not to be a big tease. Gunner! No, sir. Rescue dog problems. Also, if you're watching this, I'm sitting on the floor, which is a place I'm usually sitting. I like to sit on the floor. I think I've also told you before that people that sit on the floor live longer. It's actually something predictive of lifespan. And weirdly, it relates to hip mobility and hip strength. If you think about it, this is a huge tangent, but people that break a hip who are elderly often um, don't live past 5 years of the breaking of the hip. The hip is just such a integral part of movement, and it's very weirdly connected to our mortality. So anyway, sitting on the floor is a great way to increase your chances of living a long life. So here I am on the floor. I have been sitting on the floor my whole life since since as long as I can remember. I also am prone to sitting on top of the table or on top of the countertop, but I don't have any countertops or tables right now because my house is being remodeled. And I've been kind of like sequestered into this little tiny room. So anyway, here I am sitting on the floor in this little tiny room, and I'm actually going to talk to you tonight about sweating. Have you ever heard these myths that people that sweat a lot are in great shape and they have these super efficient cooling systems? So, in other words, have you heard that sweating is a sign of physical fitness? Well, I'm here to debunk that for you. Have you heard that sweating, on the contrary, is a sign of lack of health, and that people who are really, really, really out of shape sweat a lot? That's also pretty much a myth too. So let's talk about why people sweat differently. And do you sweat a lot? Spill the beans. I want to know. I want to know who in our audience sweats a lot. I don't. And I'm like low key jealous of people and my instructor friends who drip sweat. I love the drippy, sweaty look. I love that look. And, I'm often in situations where I'm team teaching with another instructor at a special event, or um, I'm on stage with another instructor, and I just watch other instructors profuse sweat, and I'm so jealous. It looks like they're working so much harder than me, and I'm working as hard as I can, and I like barely glow. Like I have kind of a damp sports bra and maybe a damp crotch area after working out as hard as I possibly can. I just am not what I don't ever need a sweat towel. Um, yeah, I just don't. I'll tell you, a time in my life that I sweat profusely was after giving birth to each of my three kids. I had night sweats after, each of the kids was born. And I'm sure that it was because I had been retaining a lot of water, with the pregnancy and after those hormones shifted after having given birth, I just kind of shed that excess water. Um, but let's talk about what sweating is all about. Sweating is our body's thermoregulatory system or function. It helps us cool off when we are too hot. And it's the primary way that our body cools itself. And whether that's because we have a fever or because the environment is hot or because we're exercising. The eccrine glands have, they're like little coiled tubes that are all over your body. And then there's the apocrine glands, and those are not all over your body. Those are armpits, groin, and nipple area. And so the eccrine glands are um they produce that like salt watery kind of all over your body um liquid like saline. And then your apocrine glands, like I said, are more isolated to certain areas of your body, and those secrete a different texture, like a milkier, thicker type of a secretion. And those glands are more associated with emotional sweating, hormonal sweating. So let's talk about those. So, first of all, I remember reading about this years ago in my ACE journal. I loved it when the ACE Journal magazine showed up at my house, reading little articles. And I remember that's where I learned that it wasn't an indication of how fit or not fit you were, that it was related to A, how many sweat glands you have, because people vary from 2 million to 4 million. That's that means some people have twice as many as others. So I probably, because I don't sweat very much at all, I probably only have 2 million. And my friends that sweat so much more than me probably have 3 or 4 million. And it's not just the number of the sweat glands, it's the size of those sweat glands as well. So there's radical variance in the size of sweat glands. So you could have only 2 million little tiny sweat glands, or you could have 4 million big sweat glands. So a lot of variance. So when to know um, if maybe you should see a doctor for excessive sweating, which is called hyperhidrosis. Hyperhidrosis is excessive sweat in specific regions and often runs in families. 2 to 3% of people have this condition that we know, but it's actually probably a lot more than that because probably a lot of people that just think they sweat a lot have this condition. It just hasn't been documented or reported because they haven't ever gone to the doctor and had it diagnosed. But this is kind of like your fight or flight mechanism in your body. So, palms sweating, soles of your feet sweating, your armpit sweating, your head sweating, and um, sometimes other things that are an indication of poor health might cause these things, like a thyroid dysfunction, diabetes, obesity, even. And then sometimes medications like antidepressants can cause excessive sweating. Blood pressure medicine can cause excessive sweating. And don't we all know that menopause and perimenopause, hot flashes, can cause excessive sweating? So when to call the doctor would be when your excessive sweating interferes with your social confidence. When you have like extreme night sweats and want to put a towel down in your bed, those would be reasons to go to the doctor because there are things that can be done to help mitigate the excessive sweating. They even make certain antiperspirants that help with these things for your excessive palm sweating, excessive pit sweating. Even having infection in your body can cause excessive sweating. So there you have it. Caffeine, spicy foods can also amplify sweating. Um, your fitness level does matter, and you can have a kind of an efficient cooling system. Um, but for the most part, we should not assume, as it relates to our clients and our classes, that people who sweat more are either in great shape or out of shape. Okay, everybody, that's all I've got. Let's see. I need a confession for you. I haven't confessed anything for a long time. Let's see. I can confess that, boy, I had a weird week of classes this last week with people kind of like, oh, say hi to Chicolette. Chicolette, I'm trying to podcast. This is my whippet baby. My honey. I had an unusual week of people kind of like going rogue in my classes. Like there was this new guy. It was his first day. He joined the club, and the day he joined, he took my class, and we have this like little mirror in the back of the room. And he like turned around during the workout and faced the mirror in the back of the room so he could like watch himself like really up close because he was in the back of the room and there's a mirror in the front of the room. He could have still watched himself and like face the same direction as the rest of the class and been watching the instructor, but no, he wanted to turn around and face the little sliver mirror in the back of the room and get a real close look at himself. So that's that was my confession. If you're watching on YouTube, this is my baby. Look at him with his long this is big. He's the sweetest baby. What else? We filmed a lesson today, Warrior Strength Lesson 24. And that's one of the more joyful, fun, sexy parts of operating the Warrior Instructor Academy is filming the lessons monthly. And so today's a filming day. Got my hair cut. See, it's all fresh. I've got all these like short little layers around my head. Um, the short little layers make me happy. They bring me joy and more curls. What else? I'm about to go to Mexico on Warrior's first ever retreat. So looking forward to that. And yeah, there's about 25 of you out there who are going to be joining us, toes in the sand, doing warrior classes in the morning and dancing and partying at night. So thanks for tuning in. I so appreciate you all. Thank you for reviewing the podcast on Apple and Spotify. And it also populates over on YouTube. So I'm so grateful for this audience. We no longer have the Instagram account Confessions of a Group X Instructor because if you don't know why, go listen to the last episode. I'm still fighting this case and I don't want to belabor it. If you follow my Instagram account, you know all the gory details, but I'm still working on account recovery. But until then, you can follow me personally at Ellen DeWord on Instagram. And I do have a new Facebook account, so you can search for me there as well. All right, everybody, enjoy teaching your classes this week. Don't forget to make them special. Don't forget to think about ways in which you can touch lives beyond just showing up and punching the clock. All right, love you guys. Talk to you later.
Thank you for joining in on the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. If you're interested in becoming a warrior instructor, go to warriorinstructors.com. But if you want more and found this episode amazing, please give us a rating. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. So remember, be brave, be bold, be blessed. And above all, listen, learn, love.